So, James, a new release that's out in cinemas is Men, directed by Alex
Men.
Garland.
Alex Garland.
As the title says. You've been to see it. I sadly haven't. What's the situation? What's going on?
I really, really liked Men.
Okay.
It's terrifying. I saw writer-director Alex Garland and I thought, I'm in.
Okay.
Don't want to know anything else. It's terrifying.
Okay.
It's absolutely terrifying.
Give me some context. What's going on?
I can tell you about Men. Men is written and directed by Alex Garland. It is about this... Garland.
Not
sorry.
Alex Garden. Alex's Garden.
Alex Garland. It's starring this character played by Jessie Buckley, who... It's a very dark film. She has just fallen out with her husband. And she said that she wanted to get a divorce. And he said, if you divorce me, I will commit suicide.
Whoa.
And you will have to live with the fact that I died because you divorced me. This is kind of in the trailer.
God.
And he goes up to the flat above theirs, jumps out the window and falls on the window in front of her and like makes eye contact as he dies. And she is obviously
I did not know this.
And she is obviously like, incredibly affected by that. She was having this very sort of rocky marriage and decides to sort of get like an Airbnb country house for a week.
Yeah.
Splashes out on this like lovely country house and she goes and stays there. And this is in the trailer. It's not a spoiler. The film is called Men, and every single man that she encounters in this film is played by Rory Kinnear. Kinnear. And he is playing every single part so it starts with the guy, like the sort of the country bumpkin guy who owns the house, who's like showing her around, and he's wearing a bit of a prosthetic. But the priest, the little boy, the yobbos at the pub, the barman, the policeman, every single man she encounters is played by the same person. And there's a very obvious reason for that. And going into this, I see the title of Men, and I think, okay, it was clearly a statement about
Men,
whatever you want to make it. But the rough plot goes, she's walking through the countryside trying to clear her head, and everything that's beautiful about the countryside is there. Lovely rivers and streams, beautiful woodland, lovely like forest paths and flowers. And she encounters this long black tunnel, which is kind of like an abandoned railroad that goes like almost like half a kilometer down, and she can see right into it. And she walks up to it and stares into this black void. And she makes a sound, and she realizes that the sound is like reverbing through this huge tunnel. And she goes like, ha, ha, and then it's like, ha, 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 ha. And she starts making like different sounds in the tunnel. Ha, 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 all like very nice sounds. And then she hears this sound, which is like a shriek, and it's like, ah! And she's like, that wasn't me. And she sees at the very end of the tunnel where the opening is, this silhouette of this long fingered thing stands up. And it stares at her, and she's already like a third way into the tunnel, this black tunnel, and she sees this figure staring at her, and it starts running towards her. And so she runs the other way, and she can still hear this scream, just, ah! And she can just hear this thing chasing her. And she encounters this naked man in the woods, played by Rory Kinnear, who's like this feral, he's got leaves in his hair and pustules. And
is this a spoiler?
No, not at all. Not at all. I promise you, this is all in the trailer. And he sees her, and he follows her home. And this guy's like following her, and it's not subtle by the fact that all the men are played by Rory Kinnear. That's obvious from the beginning. And the film goes on from there, and it deals with loss, and it's genuinely pretty terrifying.
Wow.
I had a really good scare from this film.
Wow.
I had a day off and I watched it at like 2 p.m. and I was like, God, I did not expect to be absolutely terrified. It's fun. It's got no jump scares, but it is all about stalking, being followed. And you kind of get this sense that, these men have represented different representations of masculinity in her life. And I think it's really special. I think when I watched Ex Machina, I really liked Annihilation. Annihilation I liked less, but I really like that Alex Garland has come up with his own brand of sort of suffocating and intoxicating sci-fi, at least for Ex Machina and Annihilation. And I was always thinking, I'm an Alex Garland fan now. I want to see more from this guy's mind. This is not sci-fi, but it's horror. And I come to this, and there is still that, intoxicating, I just want to get out. Everything that was and in the countryside, I said everything that's idyllic about it. There's that moment when she sees this person, and then all of a sudden, everything that's nice about the countryside is now horrible. Yeah. The isolation, no one's around, there are no lights, no one can hear you, and all of a sudden, everything that was tranquil and lovely is now horrible, and he does that really well, beautifully shot, and I'm desperate to talk about this film, just to over-intellectualize it and analyze it. I loved it. The ending is pretty batshit. And I think I got the metaphor, and then it really hammed it home as to why this thing is called Men. It is indescribable what happens at the end, at least on a podcast like this, but I'm very much looking forward to discussing it. It's terrifying. It's actually really, really scary, but gory and violent and all of that. You should go see it.
The way you've told it has been so compelling. I definitely want to see it.
And I think more people should see it. I actually think he's a brilliant filmmaker, and I've left that film being like, whoa, I still want to see more from this person. Fantastic. It's a real writer-director's film. Please go and see it. That's all I'll say.
Wow.
I promise you I've not spoiled it either. That stuff is in the trailer. That's like a hook that I can give you.
I'll try and go see it and I'll report back to you.
Men.